make it colorful. And then some random shirt that doesn't match it. And then a random vest. Layering is important. And then a bright green or bright color jacket. Some vinyl pants.
See.
I know, stylish. A headscarf. This is very casual. This is a Gucci staple. I've made Gucci sunglasses on. Some fair heels, some socks, of course, some bright pink lipstick, and just like that, I'm a model for Gucci. Hey, y'all, today I've been a professional makeup artist for 20 years.
I didn't think this through. The way you go was around. I said, what the hell is right there? I'm not supposed to be here, shut up. I ain't not defeated anyway. He's walking at the speed of 117 There ain't no place to
Okay. I know I'm live already, guys, but I kind of want to see what Sunday Night Baseball looks like because you guys are posting on the group me. So let's see. Gardner gets a hit. It's a tie. Gardner gets out. Joe wins the matchup. Walk and he stays tied too. Wow. Sorry, Carter, about playing it. So what happened? I posted the link too on the group me. Let me go to my bat app. Gardner gets out. Okay, so it's over. So it's a tie? Okay. All right. Well, all right. Cool. There's a few of you on. All right, guys. Hope everybody's doing good. Damn, what a week. Joe won. So, it wasn't a tie. What a week, man. Crazy matchups. I'm going to put my TV on mute because I think it's probably – there we go. Yeah, so, damn. Let's see. Joe won 9-7. Oh, shit. Wow. 2 ties. Well, and then Ray and Adam. Ray won by 1. Let's just go right through all the matchups. So right now with mine, there was the Tampa Bay game yesterday went on rain delay, and they finished the game today. And right now, me and Domingo are tied, and the pitching was close. Best week ever, Dale, for sure. And considering this is the equivalent to week 18 or 17 or 18 in a regular season, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, with my matchups, pitching was close, and I had Garrett Richards go today, and he got a quality start. But it wouldn't have mattered with that because I would have taken quality starts, but I would have lost total bases, so it would have been a wash. So I didn't start him. But my OPS, it's 782 to 784. And because the game got pushed over and they finished it today, Brandon Lau got a double for me. And it hasn't been recorded yet. And when I looked on Yahoo, the stat corrections take they get done tonight and will be adjusted tomorrow. So I don't know. I think a double would give me that 200th of a point that I need to at least tie. Because if I tie OPS, he drops a point. Because he's winning OPS and I win 8-7. I don't know. Do you guys think a double could make it? Because it's 782 to 784. Do you guys think a double would give me the win or at least tie? I'm hoping the stat correction gets done. I mean, if I get a tie, and it's not a loss, and I'm still in the thick of things, considering how the matchups went this week. But I think it's enough. I think if the stat correction does, and it happened within the week. It's not like it happened next week during my matchup with Joe. It's happening within the week. So these fucking narrow margin, 3 weeks in a row for me, it's crazy. I barely lost Alejandro. I barely beat Moy. and now I have to wait for a stat correction possible to beat Domingo. So it's crazy. Okay, so that's just the first matchup is mine, and let's go to the rest. David, you're just dominating, man. Like that's why I'm talking shit, like making jokes on the group me. But damn, dude, you're the team to beat, man. And I've said it, and it's just you know. So yeah, I mean, I play you week 4, and that's why, like for me, it's really crucial to get this win because me and Joe have that's going to be a great matchup next week. But it's so crucial for me to get a win this week, considering that I need to split. I need to split the matchups over the next 2 weeks between you and Joe. So, David, David, you got the commission this week, and you took care of business. So good job. Joe and Justin, man, matchup of the week, hands down, came down to the last at bat. Justin came back. Joe you were leading the week most of the week. It kind of went back and forth, but I think you, for the most of the part, were ahead like 10-8, 10-7. And then Justin had a hell of a day today, took the lead for a moment, and then you came back and tied it, and now you locked up the win. So props to you, Joe, man. You're in a great place going into next week against me. Your team, man, Juan Soto came back and has just been lit, man. Soto and Rendon, but man, Soto definitely was worth hanging on to. Obviously, you would not drop him even if he had COVID, but that guy's just, he gave your team a whole nother level, and Soto run, man. Props to Joe, great win. Ray and Adam, damn, like I think this was a must win for Adam. But Adam, I don't think, considering everybody else who lost, every week things can change, man. So please, stick with it. But Ray pulled out the win. I think that puts Ray at 2-1. So Ray's right in the thick of things. And that's the thing. It's like a 1-game margin between, David's obviously 3-0, but Justin goes to 2-1. Alejandro goes to 1-1. We'll go to those later. But Adam, you're still in the thick of things. But great win for Ray, barely winning by 1 point. So hell of a matchup there. Let's go to the next one. Efren dominated against Chewy. Chewy, I think mathematically he's out of it now. He's 0-3. I think if he even goes 4 wins straight, I don't think he has the chance. I think I said it before. I think 5 wins, or at least 4 wins, 2 losses, and a tie. Considering how many ties are happening, go over mine again. Okay, David, I'm gonna give everybody their props, but sorry, bro, you missed it. But I think Chewy is mathematically out of it. If he goes 4 if he wins 4 straight, considering all the ties that are happening, I think 4-2-1 would be the minimum you would have to go to even have a chance. And you would have to win your last week. You have to go into the playoffs with a win because, you have that advantage over those who have the same record but coming off a loss. So I think those who are 0-3, I think, are mathematically out of it. I think 4-2-1 is the bare minimum to stay in contention for playoffs. And you have to end with a win. So sorry, Chewy. But next week is trade deadline week. So take advantage, Chewy, and try to put yourself in a better position for next year. Alejandro and AJ, man, the battle of the AJs. Austin was winning most of the week. Alejandro came back Wednesday, Thursday, made it interesting, and then AJ needed to close it out today, and his team just fell through. We were talking about. I was hanging out with him for a minute today. I'll rewind you, David. Okay, don't worry. I'll rewind you. But Alejandro had it. He had it within his grasp because AJ's team wasn't closing on Sunday. And Alejandro posted on the group me, man, like it was fortunate that his guy got the home run. Because if Escobar hadn't got the home run, then AJ would have won. But it happened to be that his guy got the home run off his relief pitcher, which subsequently gave him he lost a chance to win, but at least he didn't lose because the home run gave him the tie because he tied AJ in home run. So that is crazy. I mean, arguably you could say half the matchups this week were matchup of the week, but I just love that Joe and Justin matchup just because Justin was in tie for first, and I just think Joe coming off a great win last week and the momentum, just the way it went back and forth, I give them the nod. But AJ and Alejandro, great matchup. AJ, a tie is a tie, and you guys are both still in it. So, being 1-1-1, you're right in it. So, and then Moy and Carlos, man. Moy played spoiler. Big ups to Moy, man. I know you're trying to make moves for next year too, but you're setting your lineup, man. And that's all we can ask for. Even if, and you don't count yourself out, Moy. I mean, you have a good team. I barely lost to you last week. It took like everything to fall into place. And Moy, you're going to be 1-2. If you can get 4 straight wins, 5-2, you're right in it, man. So great job for Moy. Played spoiler, knocked Carlos down. So that definitely helps people below Carlos. People like Joe. Joe, you're going to jump Carlos now. And you're going to jump Alejandro and Justin because Justin's coming off a loss. And you're coming up with a win. So I think, Joe, you're going to be in second place next week, man. And if I get a win, I think I'm going to jump. I think I'll be in third if I can get the win with the stat correction. So crazy matchups, David. Yeah, man, you have the team to beat. You took care of business this week, man. Your team is just putting up I think your team kind of cooled off towards the end, but I think if they would have kept pace, you would have got close to probably 65 hits this week. So, but you had a great week this week, David. Took care of business. Now you're 3-0, and I think if you just have to get 2 out of the next 4, and you're in the playoffs, man. So you're in a great position, David. I think if you can get 6 wins, you're going to secure, 1-2 seed. So, David, great job, man. But yeah, so probably, like I said, this is the equivalent of a week 18 in a regular season. And next week is trade deadline week. So, keep that in mind. People are going to start making moves that aren't in it anymore. Start thinking about next year. And yeah, let's talk about next week, huh? And you guys post. Let's see. Let me look at the comments. See what we got. David, thank you, Moy. Joe, I had a rough decision to bench Britton or not. I could have gotten the save, but I could have gotten the loss and give up TB. That Britton double would have made us tied, possibly lost if Gardner had a hit. Hey, you got the win, man. That's the best part of this fantasy baseball, I think, is, you really have to be a manager, man. You have to pay attention in it. And like I said, with the pitching for me, like I could have thrown Garrett Richards and got a quality start and a no decision, but it would have washed the pitching stats. So I bit the bullet and hoped I could hang on to offensive category. So, that's what I love about fantasy baseball. I love obviously winning the money if you can, but I love just being like managing the team and being in that position of like making those decisions and being strategic. That's for me, like the best part, making the trades, I like that GM role that you kind of have, if you buy in, it makes it a lot of fun, man. So yeah, Joe, hey, whatever the choices you made led to a win. So you did the right thing, man. Let's see. Moy, are we hanging out for trade deadline? I would love to do a Zoom hang, man. I think a Zoom hang would be great. I think we should have like an active, everybody should be active. Like have your phones next to you. Like it's trade deadline week. People are going to want to make moves, man. So, you guys, like, it's not like we're in a regular season where we still have way more time. Like, I would love for us to do a Zoom hang. I think some of us want to go golfing. We're in a heat wave, but if we want to go to the driving range for Sunday, the last day for the trade deadline, and, do driving range, that'd be great, man. Trade deadline at the driving range, that'd be great. And just have, a couple drinks and hang. But everybody be active on your phone, because I tell you right now, I'm going to be reaching out to people. And those who are, mathematically out of it are going to be hitting people up for making moves next year. Obviously, we see the strategy this year and last year that acquiring draft picks, if you draft well, like Eric did, like David did, shit works, man. Clearly, if you can drop the ball like some people have, but if you execute, it makes the next season a lot of fun, and you look forward to draft day and what are the odds, that if you do it right and luck has it and you get at 2 high draft picks, things, shit can work out. So be active on your phones, guys, because this is what makes it fun. And if you guys are, saying like the season isn't the same, this is something that's the same, talking trades and making those acquisitions and trying to make that playoff push. This is the same. So take advantage of this. Or if you're playing for next year and you want to make those moves, COVID or not, this part is absolutely the same. And so enjoy this trade deadline week coming up. And since we're talking about that next week, let's look at week 4 matchups, guys. And then I'll keep looking at the comments. But hell of a week, man. Fucking great. Let's see. Let's look at next week. Like I said, I'm just going to start from the bottom up, and I don't know how to organize it on my phone, but so we got Domingo against Carlos. Domingo, if I get the win, he's definitely probably mathematically out of it, but play spoiler. You're going against Carlos. Carlos looking to rebound and get a win for next week to get himself right back in there. We got Adam versus Efren. Efren can keep the momentum going. Right now he's 10 seed, but with the win this week and a win next week, he's right back in it. Adam, you're not out of it, but Adam needs to make a run. We got AJ versus Moy. If AJ does take a loss next week, it's going to put him in a tough position. Moy, you're definitely a tough team, and everybody you're playing is, you're a tough matchup. So Moy can definitely hurt AJ's future with a win next week. Justin and David, damn, that's a good matchup. Justin is consistently, and David both consistently putting up great stats. Justin is definitely playing a strategy where once he gets like the 18 innings or whatever, and if his pitching did well enough, he doesn't, like, I've seen him, like, he just benches guys unless it's absolutely necessary, like today where he threw a starter to try to get those couple categories. But he definitely has a strategy that's working, and his offense is awesome, man. So David, I think David, this will be the matchup that really will solidify if you're the best team or not, because Justin's a top 3 team in my opinion. So David, you get this win, I think you can feel very confident. I mean, I know you're already confident, but I think this will be your toughest matchup so far for the season. So that's probably the matchup to look at. Justin can definitely put a wrench in David's, his progress up to this point. But if David gets that win, that's a hell of a win. Alejandro versus Ray, 2 guys with like similar records. I think Alejandro's 1-1-1 next week, and Ray's 2-1. So Alejandro gets a win, boom, right back up. Ray gets a win, he goes 3-1. He's probably a top 3, top 4 team. That's a good matchup, probably very equally matched too. I like offense on both sides. I kind of like Alejandro's pitching more, but great matchup on both sides. So that's going to be a good one. Dale and Chewy. Dale, I don't know what your mentality is right now. Right now, Dale, you are 1-1, so you'll be 1-2. I don't see you playing for next year, but I don't see you passing up opportunities to make moves for moves that can definitely benefit you for next year. So, so I don't know. Are you going to play to win, or are you setting your lineup to see what happens and have your focus on making moves for next year? I don't know. We'll see where you're at. But you're 1-2, so you definitely you're in a position where you might have to win out, Dale. So maybe this is your threshold week, right? Where if you win, you keep going. You'd be 2-2. You're going against Chewy, who's going to be probably a bottom 2 team. Or if you lose, are you going to take advantage of this trade deadline week? See, that's a tough spot for you, Dale, because you win, you're right in it. But if you don't make moves this week, trade deadline's over, and if you lose, then you kind of lose your opportunity to make moves for next week. So I guess you kind of have to wheel and deal with what you have extra of depth in. But that's a tough spot to be in, Dale. So I don't know. That's interesting. Let's see real quick before I go on with let's just finish this up. And then the last one, me against Joe. So I can definitely see another narrow matchup for me again. Joe's team is offensively and pitching is doing really well. I think you're going to get Montez back next week. I'm hoping I get DeGrom and Charlie Morton back next week. They're both, the last I read about them is that they're both feeling great, and the coaches have the mentality that they're going to make their next start next week. So probably towards the end of the week. But if I get Charlie Morton and DeGrom back, and let's say Plesac for the Indians gets activated, we'll see. I don't know. They might have them. I don't see the Indians not having Clevenger and Plesac back, considering how crucial these next games are. They designated them to their alternative training site, but they're going to need those two. So their offense is doing great, but they're giving up a lot of runs. So if I get Plesac, DeGrom, and Morton back, I think we got an equal matchup. You're getting Montez back. If I don't get all those guys back, or at least 2 of those 3 back, then I definitely give you the benefit of the pitching. Your hitting is doing great, but when my hitting's good, it's really good. And when it's not, I get like 6 hits. But when it's good, I get 10 to 12. So I think we got a great matchup next week, Joe. So we'll talk, man. And we'll be talking this week. But yeah, and a lot at stake. If I get a win next week, I'm 2-1. If you get it, and then you're 2-1. So the winner definitely jumps as a top 2 team, top 3 team, because I think right now, Joe, you're lined up to be probably the second place team, considering Alejandro's going to drop and Justin's coming off a loss, and Carlos is coming off a loss. So you're going to be the number 2 team, Joe. And if the stat correction works for me and I do get the win, I'm going to be the number 3 team, because the people coming off a win have the advantage, even if they have the same record as someone coming off a loss. That's just how the wins-loss goes, because we're not playing by points. So this could be a huge week for me and Joe in terms of the placement going into the last 3 weeks of the season. So I think me and Joe, and then David and Justin matchups are probably going to be the ones to watch in terms of how much is at stake, and then again seeing what Dale's mentality is next week. So yeah. All right, let's look at what you guys had to say. Let's see. Are we COVID fantasy baseball is exciting as fuck. That's what Joe said. Good observation on Justin. I noticed that. I don't mean to blow up your strategy, Justin, but it's pretty evident. I try to keep an eye on everybody's matchups for these videos. And then obviously Joe does his research. Joe's, he doesn't just set his lineup and see what happens. He plays the manager role, so he definitely checks in. Alejandro, I'm 1-0-2. Alejandro, wait. Yeah, that's right. You're still undefeated, man. Still undefeated, and you're still in it. And like I said, with the ties, people who are 0-3 are, I think, out of it, because just the amount of ties that are occurring, or the chances of ties are happening often. I don't think the people who are 0-3 have a chance anymore. So Alejandro, you're definitely still in it, and you definitely got a team that can get you. If you go 4-0-2, week 4, 5, and 6, and you end up 4-0-2, I think you're a win and you're in to the playoffs. So I think you might have to win out. It depends on how the people above you do, right? In this kind of league, David definitely is in a power position, because he kind of controls his own destiny, where everybody else, the teams around you in the ranking, really can determine, like, everybody is playing as if it's like their progress it depends on how everybody else does, where like this early in the season, you kind of, in a regular season, everybody controls their own destiny. But now it's like you got to hope that someone here does ahead of you loses, and that messes things up, and this things gets flipped all over the place. So, but yeah, Alejandro, you can still in a position where I think you're right in it. Yeah, ties are worth half a point, Joe. That's what got me into the playoffs last year, because I had acquired enough points to equal the 5th or 6th tie, the person who was in the 5th seed, because I acquired those points by getting 2 ties during the season. But yeah, ties are half a point. Dale, do not be afraid to ask. Good luck, Anthony. Good luck, Joe. Talk about the trade market in your opinion. I'm trading picks. Hit me up. Okay, so trades, right? Obviously, it's kind of a difficult situation, because first off, and we talked about this, David, I don't think anybody is going to make a trade that didn't involve picks. Like, I think everybody who's in contention is kind of walking on eggshells, where they don't want to mess up their team, because right now they're having success with that team. So, like, for example, like Carlos and Justin were to make a trade, I don't think that would happen unless it both mutually can help their team out. But I think everybody, like, with this short season, is really hesitant to just trade players when you're in contention because you don't want to mess up with your team that's working for you. So I think it's either trade draft picks or no trades are going to happen. So I don't know. You would have to find like the perfect kind of trade with somebody where if it's going to be player for player, like it'd have to be because people I think are really going to be hesitant. Those that are in contention to trade players that are, with their team that's working. I think we're going to see a lot of draft pick trades. People want to trade draft picks. I don't see people who are in contention trading high draft picks. The pick market is limited because no one wants to give them up. Yeah, exactly, Dave. That's exactly the point I was going to say. Like, I think people who are in contention don't want to give up draft picks because we only have a couple weeks left to really see who's going to make the playoffs. And, well, actually, I think it's going to go all the way up to the end of week 7. But I don't think people who are in contention are going to want to trade picks because it's just like, why trade a pick when what's working is working? Like usually, like I would trade a pick if I'm just out of contention and I need that last bit to push me into contention. Then I'd trade a pick. But right now, it's so hard to tell. Like, is your team working? Is because my record is 2-1? Not me, but like if I'm someone who's 2-1, it's hard to judge your team. Like, is my team that good where I don't need to make a trade that big that cost me a draft pick to get like a big player? Like, it's just hard to judge your team right now unless you're David, who's can sit really comfortably and saying my team is definitely one of the best teams and I don't have to trade a draft pick to keep myself in contention. But like teams like Joe and Justin and myself and Alejandro and Carlos, it's hard to like justify trading a draft pick right now because you just don't know how to judge your team if your team is really that good enough to stay in playoff contention, and is it worth trading a draft pick because it's hard to judge on this shortened season, and then to pull the trigger on a draft pick in week 4 and then you end up like doing shit and then not making the playoffs. It's like, was it worth it? So I think people who trade draft picks are going to be those who feel they're out of it. But you guys are going to have to understand that it's going to be hard to convince those who, unless you made the draft pick trade already, like Joe and Moy, I think it's going to be hard to convince those who are in contention to give up a draft pick because they can't even judge their team's success just yet. Week 4 in a 7-week season, it seems like it's too early because the records are so close. So I don't know. It's going to be hard. I think it has to work out perfectly for someone who's in contention to give up a draft pick. And the sell has to be really, really good. At least that's my opinion. And only 4 playoff spots. Exactly. Moy, I make great trades. I'll tell you this, Moy. You definitely are active on the trade market. And it was just, you can't help how the straws are pulled and people get a first pick that in the draft because, you're not anticipating that. But you rebound well trading draft picks. Like you trade draft picks and you almost made the playoffs last year. Or did you make the playoffs? I can't remember. But I know the year before you did. And you still draft teams that are in contention. So I think you're doing the reverse role because you're trying to, usually you trade draft picks to try to win that season, and now you're trading 4 draft picks for the next season. So I like it, Moy. I like how, and I myself, like I'm biased. Like I love when teams are active on the trade market and like that because it just shows me that you're buying into the league. So it's frustrating when you try to make a trade with a team that never makes trades. It's like so I love it. I love that, Moy. I love how much you trade. And not every trade is going to be a home run, but that's okay. Like all you make the effort and you try, and if you hit on, like, let's say you make 5 trades, right, and you hit on 3 of them, like I think that's a success. Like even in the major leagues, not every trade is a successful trade. Look at Manny Ramirez for the Dodgers. I think that was a trade. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying every acquisition is not going to be a home run. So But if you don't make moves, you're never going to find out. So I love it, boy. I love your trades. Playoffs 5 years in a row. There it is. The writing's on the wall, right, Moy? 5 years in a row in the playoffs. And like I said, I love the buy-in, Moy. I love the buy-in into the league. Let's see. So what do you guys have to think about this week? Does this convince you that this is how the path of the season's going to be? Like tight matchups every week? Did everybody really draft that well, that equally? Like, are everybody's teams every week someone can beat somebody? I mean, I'm almost lost to Domingo and he's in last place. I know I guaranteed a tie, but still, like, Efren is ranked 10, but I don't think he's a 10 worst team. He got to win. I think Efren is a top 16. So, I don't know. I think everybody, for me personally, I think there's a couple teams that separate themselves from having immediate success that should be consistently successful from the whole year. And then there's a good group of teams that had to wait for the team to get going, and now they're going to find consistent success. And then there's kind of everybody else who, the last small group of those who they were hoping that going into it, they weren't confident. So they were hoping that they would, in a shortened season, they could have their players can do well enough in a shortened season where the lack of a successful draft didn't hurt them. Because if you have a weak draft in a regular season, you're fucked. Like, that's it. Like, but they were hoping, like, damn, I didn't do well in the draft. I think if they can just do well in a short-term basis, all I have to do is get 5 out of 7, and I'm fine. So I think that's how, at least that's how I view the league. And I'm really surprised by the success that I see from like I said, that large group of those who are now like making the turn, because making like Joe's a perfect example. Like, Joe came out of the box a little slow, but look at his team. Like, that once they started playing to what they can and getting some players back, like Rendon took off, Soto came back, took off, Ryu, Maeda, like those guys are making the turn and doing well. And he has a couple other of his players that just weren't, Castellanos and guys who just needed to get a couple weeks in, and now Joe's probably one of a top 5 team. And after the draft, I don't know how Joe felt, but I don't know if he felt like he drafted the number 1 team. But now looking at his team, I definitely think he's one of those teams that like can consistently compete now the rest of the season and will be in contention. And I see that with like I think Carlos drafted a great team from the get-go, but like Alejandro is another one. I felt like he drafted a good team, but he's just waiting for a couple players to really play to what they can. And because these players didn't have a spring training and all that, he had to wait. And now he's going to have a team that can compete every week. But for week 1, he almost took me. He beat me. But anyway, so let's see. It's called Overachievers, David. Well, I don't know if they overachieved. Wait, are you talking about the players, or are you talking about the guys in our league that drafted? How do you guys feel about the trade deadline going into next week? Do you guys think there'll be a lot of trades, or do you think this season people will stop and kind of hesitate? Obviously, guys in last place and the bottom teams are not going to trade with each other, because what do you get from that? So really, if you're a bottom team trying to trade picks, you have to convince these teams that are in contention to trade with you. And like I said, it's just hard for me to believe that someone will give up a draft pick because they don't even sure if they're going to be in contention in 2 weeks. Because all it takes is 2 losses and then you're out of it. So I don't know. I think trade deadline is going to be great next week. I'm definitely open to making trades, as long as it, like I said, it's gotta mutually benefit both. I know if I'm probably gonna be trading with people who are ranked 8 through 14, and they're gonna want draft picks, and that's fine. But also know that it's gonna be hard to convince, at least me personally, to give up a top 5 pick when I don't even know if I'll be in contention in 2 weeks. So just have that mentality, like, and for a guy like David, he's not going to want to trade draft picks. Why is he going to want to trade draft picks when he only needs 2 more wins and he's in the playoffs? So the market is limited, but that doesn't mean moves can't be made. And then again, there's a couple guys, that like Dale and I think Alejandro maybe being 1, 0, and 2. Guys like let's see, who else was like a guy like AJ. AJ's 1, 1, and 1 now. Adam 1 and 2. So these are the kind of guys that, if they make a trade next week, are they playing for next year? Do they think they don't have a chance? But if they make a trade next week, can it affect them going to the playoffs? Like, I don't know. It's tough to have a trade deadline like this. But I think the moves that are going to be made are going to be like big trades. Like, we're going to see some blockbuster shit. If shit's going to work, if someone's going to work with, like, if you're a top team, you're going to look for like an amazing player, right? I think that's the kind of trades we're not going to see. Like, I'll give you a B grade outfielder and a 12th round pick for 8th round pick and a B grade pitcher. No, I think we're going to see like ace for 2nd round pick, like that kind of stuff. Like, because those the only way these top teams are going to feel good about getting player or trading those top picks is if they get badass players, So that's what I think. I think the market's going to be like high draft picks for amazing players. I don't think we're going to see these middle ground things. And if they are, it's because it's only going to be the teams that are in contention that are going to make those kind of things. It's going to be mutual trades that can benefit both teams. Like for example, and this is just an example, but let's say Carlos is like, damn, I need better pitching. My offense is fine. I got some depth there, right? I have a couple good guys I could trade offensively that won't really hurt me too much to get a good pitcher for someone who's looking for good offense that has like 6 solid pitchers. So we're only going to see these like player to player trades with the teams in contention, and then all the other trades are going to be like badass player for high ass pick. And what do you guys agree with that? I think that's how it's going to go. David, true. The trades are going to be very limited. Everyone is still in it. If a team is in last place, are they allowed to make such moves as trades that adds rosters like last year? I know, Moy, that's a great question. Dale, what do you think? Are we enacting that rule where the last place team, to keep them, keep the incentive to keep trying, they don't get to make trades? Like, are we doing that? Or are we kind of eliminating that rule? Like, I think if it's a rule and it was in place, we should keep it. It has nothing to do with COVID, So I think more. I think the last place team shouldn't make trades. I think if it's a rule, it's a rule, and we agreed upon it, and we can't. It has nothing to do with COVID, So every team should be setting their lineup and trying. And the goal is to get out of last place so you can make the trades. Now it's kind of done now. But that's the thing, Moy. Like, if they all have the same record, if all the last place team, like for example, Chewy and Domingo are going to both be 0. Well, no, actually, if Domingo gets a tie, it'll just be Chewy by himself in last place, and he won't be able to make trades. But let's say I do beat Domingo and get that stat correction, and then him and Chewy are both 0-3. Do they both not going to make trades because they're tied for last place, even though the ranking says 13 and 14? They're both 0-3. I think, Moy, you getting a win this week, Moy? Fuck. Now if that rule isn't in effect, you're fine. You can make trades. But do all the both 0-3 teams, like if we enact the rule, does that mean they can't make trades, both teams? I don't know. We'll see. But I think if a rule is a rule, it should be in place. It's not COVID related, and that's my piece. I think we need to enact it. So it kind of sucks because like it's kind of already done. Trade deadline's next week, and you can't get out of it now. Next week, even if you get a win, it's too late because then it'll be week 5 and trade deadline's over. So I don't know if Domingo was aware of that rule. we have so many rules for a new person to come in and try to learn. But I think a rule is a rule. It's a really short season, but I understand. I mean, David, it happened to you last year, and it sucked when it happened because you have to work your way out of to. So it's a tough call, but I don't think it's a tough call. I think a rule is a rule, and that's how we. If we're trying to if we're trying to make this season not be affected so much by this COVID shit, we need to keep the rules that we can keep in place. It's what do they call that? It's about fuck, what's that rule? What's that word I'm looking for? Solidarity. Like fight. We're in it together, and if we want this to continue and not let this shit make change, fuck shit up, we need to be solid and hold on to what we know we can. And I think that's the truth. Like we can't let COVID dictate every rule. This rule is not COVID related, and it just adjusts with a shortened season. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I think absolutely they cannot make trades. David, it was also agreed upon that we would do points, but that didn't happen. Yeah, well, that's a separate issue though. That they're not related, but it was addressed and fixed. I don't know, David. I think that's a separate issue because like that was something that was COVID related. This isn't. Like we made that trade because of COVID. Like we made that trade for points because of shortened season and because of all this COVID shit. Like this rule can still be enacted whether COVID shortened season or not. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just feel like the points system we tried it. That didn't happen, but the point of that was to compensate for a shortened season because of this COVID shit that happened. I don't think we need to change this rule because of a shortened season. Like all they had to do was get one win to be not in last place. If you can't win 1 out of 3, then I think like it's just I don't know. I think that's how it is. Like that's my point. All good, just putting it out there. No, I know that shit bugged you, man. And I think if it played out how we had planned it, it would have definitely changed things up. But we can't discount how competitive it is. Like this win-loss thing is not what we planned, but damn, it's competitive, man. Like the goal was to have the points so that there won't be ties and shit, and people won't get fucked at the end of the year if they all have the same record. And we have like 5 teams with the same record, but only 4 playoff teams. And the 2 that come off wins, or according to Yahoo, are ranked better, get in, and they had the same record as the other like 2 teams, and they missed the playoffs because Yahoo said so. That's gonna suck. I admit that was the point of the point system, to try to eliminate Yahoo dictating who gets in the playoffs, because win-loss records, there's a good chance we're gonna have ties. But in regards to the rule, I don't think a shortened season should change the rule about last place. That was a whole incentive base so that you keep trying and keep playing. So I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I hope you guys like this show, man. It was a good one. It was a great week. I'm looking forward to the matchup next week. Again, me personally, I always talk about me a little bit more because I'm the host of the show, but I'm hoping I get that stat correction. I pull off a win. It would be a huge win. I definitely think I need to go 1-1 over the next 2 weeks with David and Joe. Then I think after that, I think I got Efren, and I think I play. I don't know, but I know I got Joe and then David. I'm pretty sure. But next week's gonna be a great matchup. Look out for that Justin David matchup. Look out for the Joseph me matchup. And I really like that Alejandro Ray matchup. And Moy, you can definitely knock AJ out of contention, I think, with if you beat him and put yourself right back in it, man. So yeah, so keep setting your lineups, guys, to see how the trade deadline weeks go. Stay active on your phone. Stay active on the GroupMe. GroupMe's going to have a lot of messages, so you're going to miss out on opportunities and offers if you don't pay attention. And I'm going to do next week's show is going to be a big show because we're going to have the week 4 recap, and then also the trade deadline recap. I think we should hang out and go to the driving range, because a lot of us can do that, or like do something, even if it's the minimum Zoom hangout. I don't know what time the trade deadline is. Is it like midnight on Sunday? I think so, because a lot of people make moves in the middle of the night. So, and I think it should be midnight because some people work and will close. Like Justin's closing tonight, and he should be able to have, if he gets off at 10, have a 2-hour window to try to make close moves. So I think it should be midnight on Sunday for those who work weekends, and might not be able to pay attention to their phone when they're working. So. But yeah, next week's show is going to be a big show. It'll probably be an hour show. Today's is about 45 minutes. And I thank you guys for being on live with me. And yeah, trade deadline week next week, week 4. Big ups to the people who won this week. Get that money, get that $50. And those who got a tie, $25 each. Keep setting your lineups. Those in last place, play spoilers. And let's get week 4, guys. Have a good one.